Long ago, in the year 1825, a very special person was born. Her name was Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. She was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Frances was born free, but life was still very hard for African Americans at that time. She would grow up to be a famous writer, a brave abolitionist, and a powerful voice for women's rights. When Frances was just 3 years old, her parents passed away. She went to live with her aunt and uncle. Her uncle was a minister who ran a school for black children. This was very important because during that time many African American children were not allowed to go to school. Frances loved learning and read every book she could find. As a young girl, Frances had to start working very early. She worked as a seamstress, which means she made clothes by hand. But even while working, she never stopped reading and writing. By the time she was 20, Frances published her first book called Forest Leaves. It was a collection of poems. People were amazed because it was very rare for young African American women to have their own books. When Frances was in her 20s, she became a teacher in Ohio and Pennsylvania. But she wanted to do more than just teach. She wanted to help stop slavery. Frances joined the Abolitionist movement. This was a group of people who fought to end slavery in the United States. She worked with the Underground Railroad, a secret network that helped enslaved people escape to freedom. Frances would hide people in her home and help them find their way north to freedom. Frances also traveled around the country giving speeches. She told people about how terrible slavery was and why it had to end. She became one of the most popular speakers of her time. People listened to her because she spoke with truth and power. She used her poems and stories to touch people's hearts. One of her most famous speeches was called "We Are All Bound Up Together." She gave this speech in 1866 at a women's rights meeting. She said that African American women must have the same rights as everyone else. She believed in fairness for everyone. Frances did not stop working after slavery ended. She knew that freedom was only the beginning. After the Civil War, African Americans faced many new problems. People made unfair laws to keep black people poor and powerless. Frances worked to change these laws. She helped form groups like the National Association of Colored Women. This group worked for better schools, fair treatment, and equal rights. Frances became the vice president of this group and continued to give speeches and write books. One of her most famous books was a novel called Iola Leroy. It was one of the first novels ever written by an African American woman. The story was about a young African American woman who fought for justice. People loved the book because it showed African American characters as smart, brave, and strong. This was very different from the stories many people were used to. Frances believed that education was the key to freedom. She said that learning to read and write could change people's lives. She worked very hard to make sure black children, especially girls, could go to school. Frances also believed that women should be able to vote. At that time, women were not allowed to vote. Frances said that women's voices were just as important as men's voices. Even though Frances faced many challenges, she stayed hopeful. She believed in the power of love, kindness, and knowledge. She showed people that words could change the world. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper passed away in the year 1911, but her words and ideas still inspire people today. She taught us that we must stand up for what is right and help others. Her life was a shining light during a dark time in American history. Frances showed that one person's voice could make a big difference. She taught people to care about freedom, fairness, and learning. Because of her work, many doors were opened for women, African Americans, and people of all backgrounds. Today, when we read her poems and stories, we remember her brave heart and wise words. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper reminds us to always be brave, speak up for others, and believe in the power of education. If you like this video and would like to see more content like this, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share with others.